all the guys, you can punish them, not only in a sexual way, it's just so hot. And what? Hey guys, my name is Barbara. I'm a relationship and sex coach. I used to be a dominatrix for 9 years, and now I'm a hypnotist. I'm certified as a hypnotist, and I can help people with problems, but I also offer erotic hypnosis. That means that you can live and experience your fantasy in a trance. Today I want to tell you about the 4 really saddest and devastating experiences that I made personally as a dominatrix and 1 as a hypnosis coach. Yeah, let's start with the dead body in front of the hotel. A guy contacted me in the middle of the night and he wanted to have a session with me, and usually I met in a special hotel for that, where you could just rent the room for 1 hour, but he was actually next to me, so I could take my bike and be there in like 5 minutes. And he said, well, you know what, I don't want to meet you in my hotel room because my friends are next to me. I think it was a bachelor's party or so, but we can just walk and talk, and maybe you can smack me or so, but it's like, yeah, just walking and talking and exchanging fantasies. So I said, yeah, okay, why not? And we were walking and talking, and we suddenly heard something, but we did not comment it because something had fallen. So yeah, whatever, yeah, there's sounds around us, so no need to talk about that. And then we went back to the hotel and we were talking, saying goodbye, and then he said, oh, behind you there's a dead guy. And the thing was, it was in the middle of the night, so he had been to a club before that, so he was not sober. And I said, yeah, a dead guy. Okay, so I turned around and there was a guy, and I said, well, I'm sure he's drunk, and obviously he cannot handle the alcohol, so let me just check if he's okay. He was lying on the floor. I saw the back of his head, so not his face, fortunately. And I walked there, and the way that he was lying was totally okay, so nothing bent or twisted. And I walked there, and I just wanted to see if he, is okay, if he's breathing. You know, of course I wanted to call the doctor after that, or police or whatever, so I was, or go to the reception in the hotel, so I wanted to do something, of course, but first I wanted to see if he's okay. And I walked there, and when I was walking, totally convinced that he's just drunk, and I don't like drunk people, so I was like actually in a mad mood. I was like, okay, I cannot step any further. There is something holding me back. And I knew this man is just dying. So I really had the feeling he is dying right now. So things do happen at the moment. And it was so weird because I was sure he's just drunk and there was no blood, there was just nothing. So I wanted to walk there, but I could not. I just could not. I was like held back. And I went back to my client and I said, hey, he's dead. And I don't know how I knew that. And maybe subconsciously I saw that he was not breathing, or I don't know, but I knew he was dead. And I just felt that by being held back in a way of like, hey, don't walk any further, something is happening here, you know. So he said, okay, I don't want to be involved in that, so I go to the hotel room. So I was there alone, and I went to the reception and I said, hey, it was Saturday night, hey, I'm not drunk, it doesn't make sense what I'm saying now, but there's a guy outside and he's dead. And the guy at the reception was just like, what do you want? I said, yeah, because you know, I mean, just imagine you work there and somebody comes to you saying, hey, somebody's dead. You think the person is crazy, and it was Saturday night, so I could have been drunk or I could have taken drugs. So I said, hey, I'm sober. I walked by. I said I walked by. It doesn't make sense because it was in a courtyard, a bit hidden. But so I just walked by and I just saw this guy and he's dead. So finally, after talking much to him and begging him to come with me, he went out with me, and then he saw this guy as well. And we walked in again, and I wrote down my number, my name, my address, and I took my bike back. And when I reached on the way back, I saw police and the doctor coming, and so emergency. And I reached my place, and the phone was going on. There was the police saying, hey, what can you say to that? And I realized that I had heard the falling of this guy. So I said, well, yeah, I think it was 5:20. Yeah, I think it was 5:20. I heard that somebody was falling down. I heard a crash, I heard something. And so what happened was, at that time, that day, that very day, and I'm so thankful for that, I had met online, I had met a cop. I had this cop fetish. And I had met a cop, he became my boyfriend then, and I told him about that. And also for him, it was a bit weird, so why is she walking around in the middle of the night, you know? So I told him a lie. I said, hey, I just had my dog, you know, like my parents, they have a dog, but I just had the dog at my place and he needed to pee, and I walked in the middle of the night with my dog. And then he checked the computer and he said, okay, what had happened was, it was an English tourist, and in the middle of the night he had prepared some tea. He was sitting on the fire ladder, drinking the tea, and he somehow fell. I swear to God, the way that he fell was not logical at all, because the ladder was here and he was lying like so far away. But yeah, obviously that's what had happened. And I'm so thankful that his face was turned to the other side. I did not see his face. I think I would have been extremely traumatized when I had seen his face. So thanks that I did not see the face. And I thought, really, it's very emotional. I did this video in German before, and I said all these things that I will tell you now in German already, and I'm very emotional right now. But I realized that I knew he was dead, and I felt this, yeah, felt being held back, and I didn't know why. So I think it's really interesting what happened. So maybe you work in a job and you have seen people dying in your job, then please comment if you also experience something like that, being held back when the process of dying just takes place. Because I have the feeling that somebody says or shows me, hey, something is happening and something special, so please do not distract this process. Number 2, I was a dominatrix, and yeah, how I said, and I offered pain to people who wanted that, and this guy said, I want to be spanked. Okay, easy, I will spank you. Then we met, and he put out he took out a spoon, a wooden spoon, and he said, this is the very spoon that my mom spanked me with when I was a kid. And when my mom died, I went to her place, I cleaned everything and tidied everything up, and or decluttered things, right? What do you do when a person is dead? And this is the spoon, and I took it with me. And you could really see it was an old spoon, it was really used. It was huge, I will never forget, it was a huge spoon. And he wanted to be spanked for 60 minutes with that spoon. And every like 10 minutes I switched the light on, because in the our hotel, do you call it our hotel? We say our hotel. In this our hotel, the light was very reddish inside, and so I switched the normal light on, I took a photo with my phone, I showed it, I said, hey, that's how you look right now, and he turned from dark red to purple to blue to black, and he was totally in a trance. He was just repeating harder, harder, and he was in a parallel universe. It was really creepy, and I felt, you know, on the one hand, there's another thing that I will tell you next. I felt that that's exactly what the guy needs, but I felt so sad, and I felt, yeah, I just felt so sorry for the boy that he used to be. And yeah, after 1 hour, I remember my arm hurt. So just imagine doing this for 1 hour, and not like only like this, but you're hitting against something for 1 hour. It was really hard for my arm, and this guy, I felt so sorry for him. I never heard of him again, but I really hope that everything is good for him, and that he could, yeah, handle his childhood trauma somehow. Next thing that happened was a guy that told me something that after we had met was on the media in Germany everywhere. So it's true what he said. He had told me exactly what I heard later on the media. It's still on YouTube, and German YouTube. So he wanted to have anal with dildos strap on. Okay, so I took these things with me. He told me that from age 4 to 7 he lived in an orphanage, in a Catholic orphanage, and he was raped by priests, yeah, several times per week. And the priest paid money to the nuns. And that's actually exactly what I heard on YouTube as well. So it's exactly what he had told me, that priests had given money to the nun as a donation, and they were rubbing the boy's head like, oh, he's a good boy, and it was a sign for the nun that he wants to meet this boy later in her room alone. And so yeah, he told me that he had been raped many times as a boy, and that he had been to therapy sessions for 3 years. And I think in Germany, after 3 years, officially you are, how do you say it in English, so they tell you, okay, there's nothing we can do for you anymore. So after 3 years, they say, okay, that's it. And so yeah, that was the situation. And he said, I unfortunately have to say that therapy did not help me at all. And now I want to try it that way. I want to re-experience what these priests had done to me, and I want to be raped anally. Wow. And I think I did not cry, but I felt like crying. I was so sad. I was so shook. And I did it very gently. I always saw this boy in front of me, and he really wanted it. He really told me, no, I want that, and please do it, and please don't feel bad. And I penetrated him anally, and he wanted more, and he wanted it harder, and he seemed very, maybe not happy, but he seemed to have exactly what he needed. But it broke my heart. And then I think maybe a year later, I saw it everywhere in the media. And later, as a coach, I had a person contacting me with the same problem as well, but I did not work with him then, because when I had the chance to reject that, I do reject things like that, because I think maybe there are people who can help even better. But I remember that was a really bad session. I felt so bad after that, but he was happy, so he felt good. But yeah, I felt really bad. And still, when I think about that, it makes me sad, really. So the next thing that happened was, as a hypnotist, I've been offering erotic hypnosis. This means that if you want to experience something, you can do a hypnosis with me. And in a trance, you will experience your wish. It feels like a dream, but you're awake, but you can smell and feel and hear and see things. And this guy said, okay, I want to do something, but I cannot tell you, only face to face. So I will not do it online, and I'm older and I'm not into online so much, so we have to meet. And I said, oh, okay, actually I'm just working online, but yeah, okay, let's meet. And we met, and he said, because I was sure that he wanted something that was totally normal. Just for him it was very extremely, because he was a bit older, so I thought, okay, maybe golden shower or something, but for him it's so bad, but officially it's not. But then he told me that his father was a concentration camp survivor. He was in his mid-70s, and he said his stand was, you must know, he was in the camp and he was freed. So they said, okay, you can go. And he lived with the family, with a Nazi family. And he said, you know what, all of my life, for more than 16 years, I've been thinking, what did my dad do to have the chance to live with his family? So maybe he had to be the sex slave for this Nazi woman. And for 60 years, he had these fantasies being used by this Nazi woman and her friends. And I looked into this guy's eyes, and I saw he was totally clear. He had a very good job. I of course can't say that here, but he had a very good job. He was a very smart person, and I trusted him that he really knew what he wanted and that he could really say it clearly. And yeah, then he wanted to be insulted in a very bad way in the trance, and it's okay, I can try to do it in a certain way, but maybe not the hard way, maybe not as hard as you wanted, but yeah, let's try it. So I started the trance. After I had dried my tears, I had cried. I was, because he told me situations that he wanted to feel, and experience in the trance and things he wanted to hear. And I had closed my windows because I was like, okay, nobody should hear what you're saying. And very soon he opened his eyes and he said, okay, I see you're really trying your best, but I've had this fantasy for 60 years and exactly this fantasy. And what you're saying is not my fantasy. So let's just, end it here and things. And it was okay. And he was not mad or so, but he said, I know that it was worth a try, but I know that I will never ever feel what I want to feel. Anything to tell me, if you want a hypnosis, just talk to me, or whatever, contact me. My website is also a bit in English, so just click on the, where is it? So over here is my address. You just click on the English flag and then you can read anything you need. And I hope that I will talk to you soon personally, and have fun with my channel. Bye guys!